This is what we're looking for, angular velocity in radians per second. So, but we can't leave our answer like that. Why is this slipping? We have to simplify that further. So that's going to be equivalent to pi over 900 seconds. And remember, again, we're using the pi button here, not pi is equal to 180 degrees. So when you calculate that, that's 0.00349 radians per second. 0.00349 radians per second. Now for part B, it's asking us how far does the traveler move in 10 minutes. So we're looking at now, in 10 minutes, we know that that's going to be a fraction of the rotation. It takes a full 30 minutes to get one full rotation. So 10 over 30 is the same as 1/3 of a rotation. Now, using the definition of circumference, one complete rotation is going to be the same as our circumference, which is 2 pi r, because remember, the circumference of a circle is what we use to generate the distance traveled around the circle. Because we know our radius, or our diameter, is 135 meters, our circumference is also 135 pi. Because remember, 2 times the radius is the same thing as the diameter. So I can replace 2 times 2r with 135, multiply that by pi. So, in order to figure out how far the traveler, or the distance now, my distance is going to be equal to 1/3 of a rotation. If we translate that into mathematics, it's going to be 1/3 of the circumference, which is equal to 1/3 times 135 pi, and if you punch that into your calculator, 1/3 of 135 pi, my distance is going to be equal to 141.4 meters. So he travels 141.4 meters in 10 minutes. Does everyone understand that? Okay. For the very last part, this is the last question we're going to do together. You're going to be given the angular velocity of a wheel in radians per second, and you're given a point on the circumference. You have to figure out the opposite. How many revolutions are there in 1 minute, and what is the radius of the wheel? So for this particular question, 1.2 pi radians per second is my angular velocity. I'm going to multiply that by the fact that I know there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. So this seconds cancels with that second. So that means there are 1.2 pi times 60 is 72 pi radians per minute. So that's the first step. Second step, I know that one rotation is equal to the total radians in one rotation of a circle is 2 pi radians. 360 degrees, that's equivalent to 2 pi radians. So therefore, 72 pi divided by 2 pi gives me, 72 divided by 2 is 36 rotations in 1 minute. Does that make sense to everyone? First, convert to radians per minute. Figure out that there are 2 pi radians in one rotation, so you're canceling out. 72 divided by 2 pi, you get your final answer is in terms of your rotations. For part B, what is the radius of the wheel? Okay, so we know that 9.6 pi, if we look at the very top again, there are a point on the circumference travels 9.6 pi meters in 10 seconds. So we're going to use that information. 9.6 pi meters in 10 seconds. What do we have to multiply 10 seconds by in order to get 1 minute? Want to multiply 10 seconds by how much in order to get 1 minute? To get in 1 minute, there are 60 seconds, right? So if we have 60 seconds in 1 minute, the seconds cancels with the seconds. 10 goes into 60 6 times. So that gives us an answer of 57.6 pi meters in 1 minute, because 9.6 pi times 6 gives me 57.6 meters in 1 minute. My second step, the total distance is equal to what we just found out in the last question. There are 36 rotations of 2 pi r. 36 rotations of 2 pi r, my circumference, so we can translate that into 57.6 pi meters is equal to 36 times 2 pi r, because the total distance is equal to 36 rotations of 2 pi r. And now we're going to use algebra to try to solve for my radius. So that means that 57.6 pi divided, if I want to divide everything by 36 times 2 pi, I also want to divide the left-hand side by that. 36 times 2 pi is going to give me my value of r. And remember, once again, the pi, actually this pi, the 2 pi's cancel each other out. This pi cancels out with that pi. So you're basically doing 57.6 divided by 36 times 2, and you'll get a final answer of your radius is equal to 0.8 meters. So because we're talking about circles, there are very limited things we can solve for. Radius, diameter, circumference, which is distance.
Morning, students. Just a couple of quick announcements.